Well, hello everyone. Happy Monday. Sorry, I know the AC is kind of loud. I kind of have it going full blast. I'll turn it down here in a minute. I know it's like really loud, but it's... Let's see, according to my car, it is 97 degrees outside, and frankly that feels, if anything, like it's underestimating a little bit. So, I'm hot. Of course, I'm wearing this stupid long sleeve shirt, but there it is. So, it's Monday. It is the beginning of another wonderful week for all of us. And, yeah. So, Mighty Number 9 is coming out tomorrow. And I am looking forward to it. I can't wait. I almost want... I don't know. I want it to be tomorrow so I can go buy that game. And, well, I've already bought it. I need to just go get it. And, yeah, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. So what else? I still haven't got my DeviantArt page up. I'm going to try to do that tonight. I know I say that like every single day, and every single day I'm like, I really am going to try and do it. And I just get, I don't know, I can only handle so many tasks in a day. I think, again, I'm like a lot of people. I think I have all these things I want to do, but it's like, you know, then I got to come home and try and accomplish something. It's hard. It's really, really hard. But I don't know. I'll get there. At least I keep telling myself that. I'm like, you know, I'll get there. So, God, it's so friggin' hot. It's ridiculous. And then, you know, then I got to be in my in the store with like a 500-degree oven going. It's a good time. I thought I had brought water out here, but I guess I left it inside. So, oh well. It'll be fine. Shoot. Anyway, sorry, I've got some money in my pocket that needs to not be there. Oh well. I just forget to do that. I just forget to put it in its proper place. Yeah, I think I'm actually getting a little bit of heat exhaustion today because I'm trying to stay hydrated, trying to drink a lot of water, but it's not always very easy. So, anywho, at some point I need to start playing around with some video editing and just trying to do other things besides just what I am doing. So I may, where the hell am I? I thought this was the way I came, but it's definitely not. Anyway, yeah, I was gonna play around with the video editing stuff some more and just try to do some other stuff, you know, like add annotations and stuff. And I may just start doing that kind of for the fun of it. It might be fun for viewers. They can kind of see the process and see how it goes and be like, okay then. So I'm gonna do some of that. Start playing around with that and just try to get a little better at, you know, at what I'm doing. Like I said, this is all pretty new stuff to me, so I've got to start, you know, doing more than just what I'm doing. But I don't know. I just don't ever feel like I have enough time in a day to really sit down and mess with it the way I want to. And honestly, these videos in and of themselves take an enormous amount of time. I think the one I did on, what was that, Saturday or whatever? I guess it would have been Saturday. I think it took over an hour to upload it, you know, because I got to import it into Movie Maker and then save it as a Windows Media file. And that process takes a while, and then you got to upload it to YouTube, and that process takes a while, and between those two things, it actually took like an hour, which I suppose isn't that long, but it's an hour where I'm, you know, I can't really be doing anything else. Maybe I could. I always worry, and maybe this is an irrational thing, but I always worry that like if I try to do anything else with my computer while I'm working in Windows Movie Maker or something, it's going to mess up what I'm doing in Movie Maker. Maybe maybe I'm just reminiscing back to the old Macintosh days when that stuff really was kind of problematic, and now arguably it's not, but yeah, I don't know. I've had that problem in the past where I'm like trying to do two things at once and it just messes both of them up because it uses too much memory or whatever, so I don't know. I don't know if that's really a valid concern, but yeah, I usually don't. I usually, when I'm just with that, I just have that going on. And I don't know if that's the right approach to take or not, but there it is. I was going to try and do my tax returns this weekend and did not get a chance to do that, so you know, it's all kind of a clusterfuck. That's alright. I have, I believe, Thursday off this week, so maybe I can make something work there and just get some things done. Baby steps, you know, that drives me crazy. It's one of the things that kind of scares the hell out of me, honestly, is the fact that I may spend the rest of my life delivering pizzas for a living, or I may spend a fairly significant portion of it. And I just can't. It's just not... It's not a job I want to do. And this is, I don't know, at the risk of going off on a little bit of a tangent, and I have to be careful about this because I can't even talk about it without getting angry anymore. You know, all my life when I was a kid, people told me, one day you're going to have a job. One day you're going to have to go work for somebody else, for whatever that somebody else wants to pay you, for whatever work that somebody else wants you to do. And so that's why you have to have a high school diploma, and ideally you have to have a college degree, because the people whose right it is to decide where you'll work and how much money you'll make want you to have a degree. And I didn't like that, but I never questioned this reality. I never, was like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the way it works, and I knew all these people who were perhaps unusually successful who said, well, I'm successful because I have a college degree. I'm successful because I went to college and got a degree. I make the money I do and have the job I do. And so you have to decide if you want to have a good job and earn money and go to a job that's rewarding, or if you just don't want that because you don't want to have to do the work and go to school and all this. And I'm going, well, the problem is, what none of that addresses, what none of that gets at, is what I could have done and what I should have done. And I really didn't know this as a kid. I really didn't see this because I was so busy thinking about like how much I don't want to live in this kind of society where I don't even get to choose what I want to do for a living, where I don't even get to say, well, maybe I don't want to go sit in an office from Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Maybe I don't want to be, fucking Lily Tomlin in 9 to 5, or what's his name from Office Space. Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want to be an actor. Maybe I want to be a writer. Maybe I want to be something else. And what nobody ever talked to me about, what nobody ever said to me was, well, you can use school to try and figure out what it is you want to do. And you may not succeed, but that's really why school is valuable. That's really what you can do there. Like, for example, like being an actor. That was something I thought I might be interested in at one time, and I didn't give it a lot of thought because I'm like, well, but most people, like I don't have that like Hollywood look. I mean, fucking look at me. I'm even back when I was a kid and I wasn't like, I don't know, 75, 100 pounds overweight, whatever I am now. I wasn't like the most attractive kid in the world. I wasn't freaking Jonathan Taylor Thomas or whatever. So I just thought like, that's a pipe dream. That's just this thing that only a few people get to do. And again, what nobody ever told me is like, no, there's all kinds of people that make a living. And it's hard work like anything else. You have to decide if like, is this really something you're willing to put the work in, or is it just kind of an interesting, neat little idea you have? But nobody wanted to talk to me about like, no. There are plenty of people that make a living as extras, as stage actors, as, bit parts in movies or all three. Some of them are even kind of famous for being those people. Like, they never have starring roles. Like William Shallard was kind of that way, back in the day. He was Patty Duke's father on the Patty Duke Show, and that's one of the roles that he's well known for, but he was never like the star. He was always, and he's been in hundreds of, you can look him up on Internet Movie Database and just be like, my God. Anyway, I'm back at work now, so I'll have to suspend this conversation until next time, but I'll see you in a moment. Alright, I'm back, and I'm off. Yay. So it's about 5:15, so not a bad day, all things considered. finally get to drive home in rush hour. That's always fun. Rush hour is my favorite thing, except for the part where it isn't. But it's good. I feel like I still have some time today to go home and try to accomplish something. I don't know that I actually will accomplish anything, but I can try. Day by day, I can try. So what was I talking about earlier? I was talking about school, and again, I have to be so careful with this topic because I get so angry. It's not anger, it's frustration. It's this extreme frustration that I have that nobody can define what the value in school is. And at least from my point of view, the value of it, such to the degree that it has any, is that there are a whole bunch of resources that can help kids obtain an education concentrated in one area. The problem is they're kids and they don't always see the resources that are there even right in front of them. I mean, what I should have been doing all through school is like hanging out with the Lit Mag staff and hanging out with the school newspapers and being on the school newspaper, and I didn't see any purpose to any of those things. I didn't understand why they were there. And nobody wanted to talk to me about it. They just wanted to tell me what a horrible person I was for not, loving school or whatever. And when I would say to people, look, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm not getting anything out of being here. If there's something that I could be doing differently, why aren't we talking about it? And there's this kind of bizarre, like, well, you know what to do. You just don't want to do it. And it, like, no, what do I know? Tell me what I should be doing, and that's what I should have been doing. The other piece of that is that having that many people together in one place creates certain problems, and the environment itself can be overly restrictive for some people. Well, the good news for me was there were plenty of other places I could have been. The bad news for me was nobody wanted to talk about it. Once again, nobody wanted to say, like, here's where else you could be, or even here's where you could go to find out what your options are. I was just stuck in this nightmare where it's like, if I have any options, I don't know what they are, and I don't know where I could go to find out or how I can find out. I think anymore that problem is easier because you can kind of get online, like whatever your school district is, they probably have a website, you can get online and kind of go, oh, okay. But, like one of the things, and this, it just baffles me, it just boggles my mind. I went to school in the Granite School District, one of the larger, I think it's the second largest district in Utah. I'm not sure about that, but I think just area-wise. So, it encompasses a lot of different schools. And I remember just screaming about, like, guys, not everybody should go to college. How do you not see how stupid this is? And I heard about these things called technical schools that they had in Europe that they didn't have here. And I'm just going, guys, it's just so insane to, like, put everybody on this one course and to assume that everybody is going to be going to college and studying philosophy or something, or, doing what my parents did, getting law degrees, and everybody's going to be a lawyer or everybody's going to be a doctor. Guys, like, what about if I want to go to school and learn a trade? And the idea was just dismissed as, like, absurd. It was like, well, that's fine if you've just decided you never want to earn any money, or, like, it was this bizarre thing of, like, but that's not what you're going to do. That's not what most people are going to do, and so that's not... Well, now, were you to go and get on Granite School District's website, they have their own technical school that opened in 2006. And if it opened in 2006, like, it had to be in the works even in the early and mid-90s when I was in Granite District. It had to be in the works, and here I am saying that there should be something like this. And it was already in the works, and people are, like, telling me what a horrible person I am for suggesting that something like this should exist. And now, like, Granite School District even has their own technical school. It's not even attached to Salt Lake Community College. Like, Salt Lake and Jordan districts have them, but they're attached to Salt Lake Community College, which is, it's not good or bad. It's just how it is. And it's amazing to me that, like, I'm sitting here going, guys, how do you not see how stupid this is? How do you not see how wrong this is? And they're just saying like, well, I guess it's not important to you to ever earn any money. That's fine. You can spend the rest of your life flipping burgers at McDonald's or whatever. That was a big thing when I was in school. Like, oh, if you don't stay in school, you might be one of those horrible, awful, miserable piles of human garbage who work for a living. See, this is why I shouldn't talk about this stuff, because I'm already, you can tell I'm already frustrated. And I think what frustrates me is the dialogue around it. The way that instead of talking to kids about like all of the resources that are available to you and the ways that you might use them, and the way that if being in one school isn't working for you, there are these other places you can go. Maybe something as simple as go to a school where you already have friends, where you already, like in 7th grade, I had moved to a new neighborhood. I was in this more suburban area. I didn't know anybody. And the culture really was, it sounds absurd to say this because I was only about 6 miles from, it wasn't like I moved to a different state or anything, but the culture was really, really different. And that was around the time Utah started flirting with the idea of open enrollment, and so I really could have gone to the same school that all my old friends were at. I think for my part I was a little afraid to do it because I was afraid that I think I was really afraid to learn that maybe those people who were my friends wouldn't have stayed my friends in junior high, and certainly some of them wouldn't have, but some of them might have, and sometimes it's just a matter of being in the right environment. And it's not to say that one school is better than the other, it's just that for whatever reason school A works better for student B than school B, and I don't know, people they're almost angry when you bring this up. It's like a personal failing. It's like you've decided to not function here when you could just as easily function here. Well, you can't always, and this is a really important point. I had at least one friend who was taking and passing the GED practice test at 10 years old. 10 years old. And so he was just kind of going like, what do I need to be in high school for? And, nobody ever said to him, well, here are some things you could do to make school a little more bearable. And nobody ever said to him, well, you don't have to be. You can take the GED at 16 and go to Salt Lake Community College. Hell, back then, you didn't even need a GED to go to Salt Lake Community College. You could pretty much just go. And I don't know. They might have. I don't know what the entrance requirements were like back then. Because now I think you do have to have either a diploma or a GED, or you have to be enrolled, taking concurrent enrollment classes, which there's a thing that if that was around when I was in high school, I sure as hell didn't know about it. Concurrent enrollment, what an idea that is, Let kids actually learn something when they're in school. But all of this stuff that's available to people, and we don't talk about it. It's... in a way, I feel bad for the public schools because I don't think they brag enough. They're so busy getting angry that they don't say guys, it's not a matter of perspective. It's you're wrong. Look at all the resources we have available. Look at all the things you can do here. Look at all the things you can learn about and learn and try and explore. Look at all the stuff you can do here. They're not even talking about it. It's just instead, we're just talking about this bizarre, there are more jobs available to a person with a diploma. Well, why do you think that is? Do you think it has anything to do with the fact that maybe people with high school diplomas have learned something from school, gained something from being there, and that's why they were there? And again, you can tell how frustrated I get with this stuff, and I don't know what got me thinking about this today. It's sort of a moot point now, but I was most of the way through college before I started realizing or even started thinking in terms of there's clearly a different approach to this that I could have taken. And I started having some idea of what that approach was, because it was such a forbidden topic when I was growing up. It was so forbidden to even say, I don't think the problem is the school system. I don't think the problem is that there are all these horrible, evil teachers' unions. I think I'm the problem. I think there's something I'm not getting. I'm not seeing it. Over and over and over again, people treated that like a choice. Well, you don't see it because you don't want to. You've decided it's not important to you. You don't want to do what you're told. ironically, while I was doing what I'm told, which was walk in the door, say, hi, everybody, I'm here, and then sit alone by yourself in your room and want it really, really bad. I got that covered, folks. I'm doing it. That's not enough. There's something I'm missing. There's something I'm not seeing. Well, what I wasn't seeing was that, for somebody who wants to be a writer, well, be on the staff of the Lit Mag, submit stories to the Lit Mag, learn how to make your own Lit Mag, not even, when you're an adult, but right now, you could see that process in motion and make your own literary magazine and do whatever you want with it. Or be on the staff of the school newspaper so that you can learn something about journalism and gain that skill and be around other people who are interested in it. And, as naive as that sounds, I really didn't get that as a kid. I really didn't understand that as a kid, and nobody was willing to talk to me about it. Nobody was willing to say, here are the things you're missing. I was talking a little bit earlier about, how I sort of wanted to pursue acting and be an actor, but it was that's something that's just tiny, tiny percentage of the population does. And no, there are people all over the place that act for a living, and it's as hard or harder than anything else. It's a tough way to make a living, but guess what? So is delivering pizzas. It's just acting would be a hell of a lot more rewarding and interesting and fun, and I could be around, interesting, creative people. And I never realized that, this is a thing you can make a living doing. This is a thing worth exploring. Because I just thought, oh, yeah, it's kind of fun or whatever, but, unless I'm going to be I don't know, Tom Hanks or somebody, and I'm not, then what's the point, I didn't see it as no, you can earn a living being an actor in all kinds of different capacities. I didn't give myself a lot of credit. I think that's I didn't think that I had an ability to learn, because I don't learn as fast as a lot of other people. There were a lot of people that would catch on to things so much faster than I ever did, and so I just thought oh, I can't do this. I can't learn this way. And I was well, no, maybe you can, but you need to slow down a little bit, or just put a little more effort into it, or whatever. And again and again and again, every time I said something look, something's wrong and I don't know what, people attacked me personally. And this happened all the time with teachers and guidance counselors, and I won't use any names. I could, but people who just said, well, the problem is you don't want to. The problem is you've decided not to. And I think I started to buy that after a while. I started to buy that, not that I've decided, but that there is clearly something seriously, seriously wrong with me. Because it must be that easy that, if somebody's really struggling with it, then that person is defective somehow. And, yeah. So, anyway, I wound up dropping out of high school. Big surprise there, right? And, I didn't have to, and that's what I wish I could tell kids now. I wish I could say, you don't have to drop out of high school. You can, but you don't have to. There are so many ways of getting an education, so many resources available to you, both inside and out of the public school system. God, in Utah, we're one of a very few states where, even as a homeschooler, if you're homeschooled, but you say there's these 2 classes at the high school I want to take, you can actually do that, right? A lot of states no, screw you, you're in or you're out. But Utah, you can actually do that. You can actually say for example, the acting thing. It's well, but I want to be, I want to be homeschooled, but I want to take drama up at the high school or the junior high school. You can do that. They let you do that in my state. It was legal when I was in high school. You could do that. And nobody ever talked about this stuff with me. Nobody ever said, here are the choices you do have. Here are the things you can do. It was just this bizarre, well, one day you're going to have to take care of yourself, and everybody wants you to have a high school diploma, so you have to have a high school diploma. But I don't want to spend the rest of my life in some shitty minimum wage job. How ironic is that? I don't want that. I don't want somebody, okay, if I have to survive, then yeah, but it's that's supposed to be the goal. The goal is supposed to be to, you know, say, well, I have a high school diploma, and then hope like hell somebody hires you for minimum wage or whatever. It's so ridiculous that that's supposed to be the goal. The goal of school should be to learn and grow and explore interests. That's what it should be. And it's easy to talk about it. It's easy to say, well, it's, you know, even in my case, it's easy to say, well, here's what I should have done differently. But actually doing it is a lot harder, and it's a lot more complicated. Just with college, one of the things I should have done is, you know, because for years it was like, well, I'm a high school dropout. I screwed up. I failed. And if I go to college, I'm going to fail again, and I don't want to. And once again, well, of course you're going to fail. You've decided to fail. You've decided that that's what's going to happen. You're just not willing to put the effort into it. You're not willing to try. And what nobody ever told me, once again, is that I could have done something like auditing a class. You know, just pick a class and something you think is interesting, audit it, see how it goes. You know, and I was working full time. I was working myself into exhaustion on a daily basis. But there again, it's like, okay, pick one class and audit it and see how it goes. The transition, you know, this was another huge mistake I made, was just dropping everything. I just dropped everything I cared about, gave up everything I wanted to do to go to college because I thought I have no choice. I thought I'm going to be stuck. I was working in a mailroom at the time, and I thought I'm going to be stuck in this mailroom for the rest of my life if I don't get a college degree. And I was working for a company that certainly there weren't a lot of places to go if you didn't have at least a bachelor's degree. So I really was just like, God, you know, I'm stuck. Where do I go from here? What do I do? So I quit my job and went to school full time. And that was, once again, I didn't have to. I could have just, you know, like found a class in something I thought was interesting and audited it. And if nothing else, I would have learned from the experience. You know, I would have started to explore school in a more meaningful way. But I didn't even know what auditing a class was. You know, like, I didn't know what any of these things were. I didn't know where I might go, either at a college or anywhere else, to get these questions answered, because they were such forbidden topics growing up. It was so forbidden for me to say that I needed help or that I didn't understand what I was doing there. It was so unacceptable. You know, it was seen as such a personal failure to say, I need help. Anyway, that's kind of a depressing thought. But what's not depressing is that, and the reason I'm talking about it is because I wish there was some way I could let people know. You know, if you're thinking of dropping out of high school, you don't have to. You don't have to. And I think maybe I'll vlog more about that. But in any event, I am going to go grab myself some dinner and try and get this video uploaded, and I will see you guys tomorrow.